Ole and Sven went fishing. It was such a great day. They rent a boat so they can fish from the middle of the lake. They row out, drop their lines, and before you know it, they're catching fish, one after another, after another, after another. And they can't believe what a great fishing spot that is. So Sven says, this is the best fishing spot in the county. It's just too bad we didn't bring some paint. And Ole asks, paint? Why should you want to paint? Why would you want paint to go fishing? Well, Ole, don't you see? So we can paint an X on the bottom of the boat so we can find the spot next time. And Ole laughs at him. Sven, that won't work. Next time, what if they give us a different boat? Apparently, they found their sweet spot, in the middle of the lake. And I know, I've done that before too. Last time I went fishing in this little inlet over here, and I caught a lot of fish, so I'm going to go there first and see what I can find. I think with the scripture going on today is, Jesus was in Capernaum. He found some disciples there, and he healed people in the synagogue. The man possessed by demons, remember from last week? And then he goes to the house of Simon Peter, and his mother-in-law is sick. He heals her. She gets up and serves them. And then he heals a lot of people. And like we said, it was people from the community with loved ones that brought them who were sick for Jesus to heal. And he healed, and he healed, and he healed, and he preached. And through his healing, he preached and taught what the love of God was really like on a hands-on experience. And in the morning, Jesus was probably an introvert like a lot of people, and he needed to go out and recharge his batteries. He needed to go commune with God for a while and pray. We find that very interesting. We find that very important in Jesus' life, the prayer life, because you can't run on empty. You can't keep going and going and going. You got to have some time to just decompress and pray and meditate and do what you want to do. So he was with God, communing with God. People, they found him and said, they're still waiting for us back in Capernaum. There's still a lot more to do. There is a sweet spot, like Ole and Sven's sweet spot. There are a lot of people with a lot of needs. You can do a lot of good there. Just stick around. And you can do much more than you've done in one night. You can continue to do that. But I suspect Jesus was thinking that, yes, he needs to go out into the other parts of the world to heal and spread his message, but he also didn't want to be owned. He didn't want to be the resident healer of Capernaum. He didn't want them to feel like they owned him. This is our healer. You find your own healer, Nazareth or whatever town is nearby. You find your own. We have ours. Jesus is our little possession. And Jesus thought, no. What I'm going to do and what we do is we affect someone's life, maybe for a brief time, and then it's time to move on. Sometimes it's to stick around and be there for a long time. Our mission and our ministries are varied and different. No two are the same. My brother and my genetic complement are probably closest as anybody's because we have two parents, we share the same parents. Although I'm very different than he is, we're not the same. Okay, I'm better looking than he is and all that kind of stuff. And I tell his congregation that too. And they know. So I just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Their missions are different. People are different. There are people who find that their ministry and mission is right here in this part of the world, in Cedarburg or Grafton or wherever they live. I think about the teachers in Chatfield, the town of 1,800. What is there for people in Chatfield? It's a small town with 3 or 4 bars, of course, 4 banks, and then, bowling alley with 4 lanes and 1 stoplight. What is there for the teachers there? But at the same time, I wouldn't be here without them. Their mission, their ministry was to the students of the community. And it's so important. They've affected so many lives in so many important ways. And there are people that say, you know what, I see that there's something going on in China or Guatemala or Central America, and I want to see what's going on. I want to learn what's happening. My mission is out there somewhere, not in the borders of the city or state or country even. But there's things out in the world. And I can do great things out there because God has called me to that mission and ministry. And God's given me the tools to heal and to teach and to learn and to immerse myself as a person of faith among God's children, whomever they are in the world. The sweet spot. Jesus continued to move along. And we'll continue to see Jesus move along throughout his ministry. During the season of Lent on the midweek services, we'll follow Jesus' journey to Jerusalem as he goes along. Luke 9 through 19. How he teaches, how he preaches, how he heals, how he affects lives along the way. Jesus will not be pinned down by one city. His mission is to the world. And that includes the Gentiles, although that's not really clearly stated here explicitly. And his Jewish disciples don't have a clue yet, but they will soon. It's to include the world in God's mission of love and mercy and hope. The whole town has been affected. Now, what do they do with that? They've seen what Jesus can do. They've seen the love of God, the power of God. Now what do they do? How do they take up the reins to continue that? That's a question for all of us. We search for Jesus. Where's Jesus? And we feel inklings of Jesus in our lives. We feel touched by the Spirit. We feel in the presence of God fully sometimes. In other people, sometimes it's an event. Who knows? So how do we take that and continue the healing journey? How do the people of Capernaum continue the healing ministry and ministry of hope that Jesus started there just by a couple of events? That's an important question for all of us. How do we take the message of God in our God-given abilities and spread throughout the world, whether it's here, whether it's out there somewhere? Everyone is searching. Jesus is not just for the Jews anymore. Tell that to the people of Capernaum, you disciples. And through the brief healing story of Jesus' Peter's mother-in-law, we see that it doesn't take much. With a simple pulling her up out of bed and saying you're healed, she's able to be back to her old self, offering hospitality to all in her home, which she loves to do, which she is called to do. That is healing in more ways than one. And we'll see that there's often double or triple healings as Jesus moves throughout the country. People are sick, outcast because they're sick. He heals, they bring back to the community. And we know, and there's been studies proven, and I saw this on Facebook and I've read it other places too, that the number one thing for a long life, a long healthy life, diet is okay, exercise, yeah, genetics, yeah. It's social interaction that plays the biggest role in our mental and physical health. We did a study in a town where they followed one guy, and they didn't eat. He was overweight. He didn't eat well. He didn't, he probably drank too much. But as they followed him, he'd walk down the street. He'd talk to people along the way. Isn't that interesting? That connection that we share. The connection that Jesus makes possible even in a deeper level, as we've seen in here in Capernaum, and as we'll see on his journey to Jerusalem and beyond. The sweet spot for Jesus grows, continues into the world as they know it. For us, we're in the sweet spot of our worlds, and we continue to grow. Where there is no hope, there is hope. More than one person lately, now that I'm in my mid-50s, I'm hearing more stories, and it angers me. It angers me that people who've been in careers for years, are getting squeezed to the point of saying, I can't do this anymore. I used to have a name, an identity. Now I'm a number. I'm a cog on a wheel that's just running and running and running. Whether I make a difference or not, I don't know, but there's been more and more pressure on me to perform, and I can't do it in an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day or what have you. there has to be some kind of healing. There has to be some kind of for hope for what's going on today. How do we make it better? How do we make it so that we can enjoy our vocations, our callings, without feeling degraded? In some ways, we can identify with the people of this era because they were squeezed. They were without hope in some ways, too. And so when Jesus came by full of healing and teaching and hope, they gravitated toward him like nobody's business. And they wanted more and more and more. But Jesus does heal. Sometimes we don't feel physically healed, or emotionally healed, or even spiritually healed. But rest assured, God is active in us, in our lives. And even if we don't feel particularly healed or up to the challenge, we can make a difference. We can go into a hurting, flawed, wounded world with wounded people because, you know what, we're all wounded and hurting and healed at some level. Nelson Mandela met with the captain of the rugby team in South Africa, asked him how his ankle was doing. And he said, it still hurts, but nobody plays 100%. And Nelson Mandela said, and that's true in sports, and that's true in life, too. That none of us really play at 100%, but we do make a difference, even if we're at 90 or 80 or 70, 50, what have you. There is a difference. There are bridges to be made. There are bridges to be made out, and there's bridges to be accepted to us from others. Jesus has paved the way. We just hope that the way brings us closer to Jesus. And God has brought us closer to Jesus. And God is there for us, to be present with us, to bring us healing always. Amen.